All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about responding to a counteroffer where I am the buyer agent. So here we go. So step number one, we sent the offer, and then I got an email back, as you can see here, from the listing agent, and the attachments for all of the documents that they signed in agreement and sent back to us. And then here is the actual counteroffer that you can see. So we're going to download the counteroffer. There it is. And we're going to download, these are the attachments or the riders to the contract. And we're going to go over those one at a time. And I'll show you what to do with those. There's the home sale contingency. And then here's the actual contract. And I'm not going to download this because the other agent sent it to me in error. All right, so next, we're going to go to the property that I wrote the offer on. And you can see here's all of the contract documents that they signed. And now that my buyer signed, and now the seller signed it and sent it back to us. So we're going to hit Add Document, Browse, and then go to where I downloaded everything. And here's everything right here over to here. So there's the 5 documents that I just downloaded. Hit Open. Now, you can see that I have an appraisal rider here and appraisal rider here. But I don't need this one anymore because it's only signed by my buyer. This one that we just downloaded is now signed by the buyer and also now the seller. So on all of these that I did yesterday, I can now go here and archive them because I only need 1 copy of each. So there is the new one. The counteroffer is a new document, so I don't have anything down here to go and archive. Here is the review of indentures and restrictive covenants, the new one. Here's the old one. So I can archive that. And by the way, anytime you archive something by mistake, you can go and get it back. But we'll get into that later. Here is the residential sale contract, the new one. And here's the old one. So we're going to archive that. And here's the contingency for sale, which is the new one. And here is the old one. Now, we're only going to work with the counteroffer. So I already called the customer and he said, so it's listed for like 142. We wrote for 135. The seller in counteroffer number 1 countered at 140. My client decided they want to counter again. So we're going to initial right here. Whoops, wrong guy. So buyer number 1. And that's Mr. Buyer. And this is Mrs. Buyer. So we're going to reject this counteroffer and make a new counteroffer. So we're going to save that. Then, in order for us to make a new counteroffer, we have to bring in a new counteroffer document. So I'm going to highlight all of this and I'm going to change this to counteroffer number 1. So number 1 came from the seller. I'm going to hit Add Document, go to Templates, scroll down to the St. Louis Association here, do a quick search. That's going to import it. And so there it is there. And I'm going to go ahead and rename it. Now I like this nomenclature because it helps keep it organized for later on. So there's counteroffer number 2. Now I have to repeat everything that's in counteroffer number 1 that we do accept and only make changes to the things that we do not accept. So in order to make that smooth, I'm going to start a new tab. I'm going to go to that same loop. Don't ask me why I did that. Never had that happen before. All right, so here is the original dot loop, and we're going to open up counteroffer number 1. And then over here, we're going to go to the same loop again. So we have 2 tabs open, and we're going to rename this one counteroffer number 2, and we're going to open that. And it's going to ask me to autofill. All right, so here we go. This is counteroffer number 1, and we're going to use it to do counteroffer number 2, which is done by the buyer. Sell contract dated yesterday. And so paragraph 333. So paragraph 333. And we decided that we're going to counteroffer at 137.5. Okay. And he wants to change these here. I think this might have been something that was I did incorrectly on the first contract. I'm not sure, but I'm fine with it because it's just talking about renaming the realtor that's on file. So we're going to do listing agent printed name to be okay, which is what they have there. So now 24,422, and listing agent ID to be MI Goldie. Okay. And then next, sale contract date to be 3/14. I'm not sure why that's in there. Oh, that's on a specific writer. The system must have put in something incorrectly. So contract date to be 031419. Okay. Now our counteroffer looks just like this. So line 1, 2, 3, and 4, as you can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have to give them a response time, and I'm going to say 8 p.m. of today's date. Okay. And I just select that at random. So like when I call you to do something, to write something up or verify, I'll tell you what to put, and if I don't ask, when you get to this part, you'll be like, hey, I need to call him to ask when. I could just as easily put this as tomorrow. So assign field, Mr. Buyer and Mrs. Buyer, and printed name, Gary. And there's only one F, so that's going to fix that. Okay, so that's ready for them. Counteroffer page 1 of 1, because sometimes you could, not very often, but you could have a counteroffer that's 2 or 3 pages because you run out of room here. But this just says there's one page of 1 page. Okay, so we hit save. Then we go back, and we're going to say, we need the buyer, Gary and Liz, to initial this counteroffer to say they reject, and then to sign this one with the new counteroffer. Right. And I'm going to hit share, and there's going to be 2 places, and then I don't need to attach the PDF. I'm only attaching the PDF when I'm sending final versions, but as a general practice, you can just always push it if you want. And then hit share. And hit done. And so now we'll either call or text the customer to say, hey, I sent it to you, it's ready to sign, and then we'll get a notification when that's done. All right. And that is that.